Welcome to my channel. Today we dive into the thrilling and mysterious world of Oddity 2024, a film filled with twists, complex characters, and unexpected events that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Let's uncover the story behind the bizarre and the uncanny. Get ready for a ride you won't forget. Let's start. The movie begins with a scene showing a village. Inside a house, we meet a woman named Denny, who is busy fixing up the house. Her husband, Ted, is a neurologist, and the two of them have recently moved into this house, which is located in a remote area with poor network connectivity. Denny has been spending a lot of time repairing the house, as it is quite old. One day while working, Denny finds a spot in the house where the network is working, and she calls Ted to chat as she was feeling bored and isolated. Ted, however, has to stay at the hospital for work, so Denny is left alone to spend the night in the house. To make herself comfortable, she sets up a small tent inside the house near the door. As night falls, there's a knock on the door, and a strange man peers through the window. He speaks to Denny, warning her that her life is in danger, and someone has entered her house intending to harm her. He urges her to open the door and let him help. The man seems calm, and his tone suggests he is genuinely concerned for her safety. Although Denny feels uneasy about trusting a stranger, she hesitates to open the door. After all, letting someone in without knowing them is a dangerous move. However, the man insists that if she doesn't trust him, she should at least call the police, as her life is genuinely at risk. Denny, after considering his words, goes closer to the door. We don't see whether she opens it, but the next scene shows a mysterious force attacking and violently killing the man. It is revealed that Denny too has been murdered brutally, confirming the stranger's warning about the danger that was present. Fast forward a few months, and we now see Ted, Denny's husband, visiting a shop that specializes in old valuable items. This shop belongs to Denny's twin sister, Darcy, who has been blind since childhood. Darcy also possesses some psychic abilities, enabling her to sense unusual occurrences such as ghosts, spirits, and supernatural phenomena. Darcy has always been deeply affected by the loss of her sister Denny. Ted often visits Darcy, but he's skeptical of her claims about the paranormal. Darcy, holding a bell in her hand, insists that she can feel things that others cannot. She tells Ted that the bell belongs to a boy, and with it, she can sense things that go beyond the comprehension of ordinary people. Darcy holds the bell in her hand, explaining to Ted that it's connected to someone's life, someone whose brutal death she can now feel through the bell. It was once owned by the mysterious man with the fake eye. Ted had brought this object to Darcy as it was somehow tied to the strange patient who had been involved in Denny's death. Darcy, eager to uncover the truth, uses the bell to understand the motives behind the man's actions, hoping to understand why he killed her sister. In the course of their conversation, Darcy learns that Ted has moved on and started a relationship with another woman, and they plan to marry soon. Although Denny had passed away not long ago, Ted seemed to have already moved forward with his life. Darcy felt a pang of hurt, but she tried to hide it and not let her emotions show. Ted confides in her about this new woman, explaining that she had once been a friend of his, but now, with his need for support, they had decided to start a romantic relationship and were planning a wedding. He casually mentions that the woman works at the same hospital as him, and then he leaves. This revelation confirms that Ted had already been unfaithful to Denny while she was still alive, which only adds to the grief and betrayal Darcy feels. Later that evening, Darcy returns home, bringing with her the handkerchief of the fake-eyed man. She carefully places it on the table, touches it with her gloves, and is immediately startled by what she senses from it. It's an overwhelming feeling, something she didn't expect, and it moves her to tears. In a room filled with odd, unsettling objects linked to people who are no longer alive, Darcy approaches a large wooden chest. She carefully examines it before sitting down beside it, her attention drawn to the strange items surrounding her. These are objects she can feel but that ordinary people cannot sense. Darcy's psychic abilities allow her to connect with the past, sensing the presence of people who have passed away, as she has done with the items in her collection. Meanwhile, Ted is preparing for his shift at the hospital, but before he leaves, his friend, who now knows the truth about his relationship, stops him. She shows him a camera, which was once Denny's, now in her possession. The camera's settings are adjusted to automatically take pictures, and one of the photos captured something unsettling, a shadowy figure that resembles Denny. Although she had been dead for some time, the image suggests her presence, which Ted dismisses as a coincidence. His friend, however, feels uneasy about it, sensing that something isn't quite right. Later that night, Ted has to work his shift at the hospital, and his friend must stay alone in the house where Denny was murdered. She's nervous about being in the same place where Denny had died. Ted reassures her, saying that it will only be for a few more nights until his shift schedule changes, and then she won't have to stay alone. She hesitantly agrees, but insists that she won't stay there longer than necessary. As Ted's friend prepared to leave, Darcy insisted on staying, saying that she would return once Ted's schedule changed. Ted reluctantly agreed, although his friend wasn't thrilled about it. That evening, Ted was preparing to go to his village when his friend revealed that Darcy had sent an unusual gift, a wooden chest. Both were taken aback by this, but the surprise deepened when they discovered that Darcy was standing outside their door. It turned out she had come over uninvited and planned to stay for 2 days. While Ted's friend had no interest in Darcy's unexpected visit, Ted couldn't bring himself to turn her away. Even though Ted and his friend were about to leave, Darcy insisted on staying. She showed them the wooden chest, which contained a strange wooden figure. Ted's friend was disturbed by it, but Ted tried to ease her discomfort, promising to remove the figure once Darcy left. Though the tension didn't dissipate, they both tried to make the best of the situation. Later, as Ted's friend was about to leave, she couldn't find her keys. She searched everywhere but couldn't locate them. Darcy, however, seemed oddly calm, almost as if she knew what was going to happen. When Ted's friend asked if she was still planning to leave, Darcy questioned her, and when she said no, she was forced to stay the night. After a while, Ted's friend returned to the dining room and was startled to find the wooden figure sitting on one of the chairs at the table. She immediately asked Darcy if she had moved it, but Darcy responded strangely, saying, "No." This response made Ted's friend uneasy, but she decided to ignore it and bring Darcy some food. As they sat down to eat, Ted's friend casually asked about Darcy's work. Darcy explained that she had a unique gift, a kind of psychic ability to sense spirits and energies. Ted's friend couldn't help but laugh inwardly, thinking that Darcy was just someone who believed in witchcraft and superstitions. Then Darcy asked her a peculiar question. What would you do if an unknown man asked you to open the door? Ted's friend, surprised, quickly replied, "I wouldn't open the door because I'm not that foolish." At that, Darcy's expression darkened, and she retorted, "My sister wasn't foolish either. She didn't open the door either." It became clear to Ted's friend that Darcy was not referring to the man with the fake eye, but someone else entirely who had killed her sister. Darcy's words were unsettling. She claimed that it wasn't the man with the fake eye who had killed Danny, but rather a male nurse who worked at the hospital where Ted practiced. Ted found this very strange, but as we see in a flashback, the night Danny was killed, she indeed hadn't opened the door. The man with the fake eye, who claimed to be there to help, wasn't lying about the intruder in the house. The real killer was a man in a mask who brutally murdered Danny. Later that evening, Ted's friend called him, explaining how strange Darcy was. She was making wild accusations, claiming that it wasn't the fake-eyed man who killed Danny, but the nurse who worked with Ted at the hospital. She said she didn't feel safe at all and couldn't even return home because her car keys were missing. She suspected that Darcy might be the one who had hidden the keys. Ted tried to calm her down, advising her to lock her door and get some sleep. However, Ted's friend couldn't sleep. She came downstairs and found Darcy asleep on the couch. Quietly, she went to check the wooden figure again, trying to uncover its secrets. The figure's head had 5 holes. When Ted's friend examined it, she found a picture of Denny and Darcy inside one hole, a tooth in another, and a small bottle of blood in another. But as she was inspecting it, Darcy's eyes suddenly opened, and she angrily demanded that everything be put back in place. After Darcy left the room, she spent the rest of the night sitting in front of the figure. Ted's friend, still scared, decided to pass the time by watching the footage from Denny's camera. In one of the videos, she saw a ghostly, drowned face behind Denny, which frightened her so much that the camera fell from her hands. As she looked up, she saw Denny's ghost in the corner of the room, sending her into a panic. In that moment, she found her keys and quickly fled the house. The next scene takes us to the hospital, where we learn that Ted had a secret connection with Denny's killer, the nurse. The two are seen talking casually, unaware that their dark secret is soon to be exposed. When Ted returned home, he found that his friend was gone, and Darcy was sitting at the table, looking upset. Ted asked about his friend, but Darcy coldly replied that she had left. "I wanted her to see your true face, to see how despicable you are," Darcy said. "But my sister's ghost scared her off. I truly believe you are the one who made my sister die. Because you fell in love with your friend, didn't you? You just wanted my sister's wealth. That poor girl had already signed everything over to you. I had always believed that some crazy person had killed her, and I even took revenge on the one with the fake eye, thinking they were the murderer. But it wasn't them." Darcy's voice trembled with a mix of anger and disbelief. She finally realized the truth about what had happened to her sister. Her suspicions were no longer mere theories. They were facts, confirmed by her investigations and the strange occurrences surrounding the case. Her sister's wealth had been the motivation, but not just for the killer. The entire situation had been manipulated to ensure that Ted would gain everything he desired. As Darcy spoke, Ted's expression grew darker. He tried to deny her accusations, but he could no longer hide the truth. His love for Darcy's friend had been an excuse, a cover for his true intentions. The blood money he had claimed, using his relationship as a shield, was the ultimate betrayal of Darcy, her sister, and his friend. Darcy's pain was evident. She had been led to believe that her sister's killer was someone else, someone she could confront and take revenge on. But the real culprit was someone much closer to home. Ted, whom she had once trusted, had manipulated the entire situation to his advantage. With a fierce glare, Darcy stood up and faced him. "I can't let this go," she declared. "You thought you could get away with murder, with destroying everything dear to me, but I won't let you." That's the end of our recap for Oddity 2024. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated with more movie recaps. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.